Alright, what's good everybody? So I'm gonna come on here real quick and talk to you guys about the A plus setup that I use almost every single day coming into the market. Now, before we get into any of this, I did just want to say we are very close to being at 100 subscribers for the YouTube channel. So if you wanna win $100, click the subscribe button and join my Discord, because once we hit 100 subscribers, I'm gonna be giving away $100. Just as a little milestone. But anyway, getting into it. As you can see on the chart, we have these three boxes with different colors. Okay, so what do we see right now is we see Asia session, London session, and New York session. So for beginners, this is it's just basically just an introduction to how to find the A plus setups that I find almost every single day. And just a quick disclaimer, I'm not saying that all of these setups happen every single day, but this is just something that I look for within my strategy. So coming into market open, so what do we see? Obviously market open is at 8:30, 9:30 if you live on the eastern side. What I want to see coming into every single day is a sweep of either London session or Asia session lows. Okay, so as we can see, the lows for for London session are right down here. So about 6:35 in the morning. These are London session lows. So London, and then we have our Asia session lows. Now, why am I marking these out? Because anything below these lows is a very high form of liquidity, and it's where the banks have all of their stop losses set, because a lot of the times they like taking trades, somewhere at the very bottom. They always want to catch the bottom so they can take a move up. So what they have is their stop losses all the way below where these orders were set, or at least these limit orders were set as well. Okay, so what happens here is, let's say it like this. So bank A places an order right here. So let's say bank A places an order right here at the very bottom of London lows. What they're going to do is they're going to try to target their London session highs. Okay, so let's just say some bank in London, they see that a pretty good buying opportunity right down here below these lows right here. Let me just put this down a little bit. All right, so they see a pretty good buying opportunity at these lows right here. So what they do is they place a trade right here. All right, and they have their stop losses. Let's just say, somewhere below. They have a pretty tight stop loss, so either somewhere below London session or Asia session. So what ends up happening is when New York opens, the banks in New York and all the hedge fund managers and all the institutional traders, what they do is they push price down below these lows to try to take them out, so there's more liquidity within the market. So there's basically trying to stop out London session traders and then also Asia session traders. So that basically means that they're trying to take that money away from them, so there could be more money within the market, so that New York session traders, so people like banks, hedge fund traders, all that kind of stuff, they can start making the money. So what ends up happening, so let's just say this bank in London puts their stop loss right at Asia session lows. Okay, so let's just say if it comes down here, sweeps it out, what ends up happening, they lose this trade and they just left a bunch of money on the table just sitting there. Okay, cool. So now what ends up happening is the banks in New York are going to start buying in. Okay, so since there's so much money left on the table, they're going to start buying in. Okay, so let's look at a lower time frame and potentially find a good entry for us to catch along with the banks. Okay, so what do we see is obviously London session and Asia session lows. And what do we see? We always try to combine it with some sort of fair value gap or confirmation for us to continue higher. So obviously coming down, we don't really have any good entries for us to continue lower. And what I like to do anytime I take a trade before I take a trade, I always want to see either London session highs being swept or Asia session lows, or I'm sorry, London session highs or lows being swept. Okay, so since I already have one confirmation, I can find another one right now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, obviously we have a 1 minute fair value gap. We retrace back into it. Let's just say if I have a limit order set right here, I'm going to put my stops, wherever you feel comfortable with putting your stops. I usually put it somewhere below the fair value gap. And then I like to take it higher all the way to London session highs. And what do we see? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful trade. All right, it's a very, very simple thing. Okay, it's literally just a sweep of liquidity. Okay, so if you ever heard of the power of three, it's basically accumulation, manipulation, distribution. So I talked about it on my YouTube a lot, and I talked about it in my Discord a lot as well. So manipulation or accumulation is basically chops. So you can see that we are pretty much within a range from here to here. We are, we're not making any breakouts or anything, but what do we see is we see the manipulation. So the manipulation is what banks, the New York banks, stops all these other bankers out. So on the manipulation leg, and then manipulation, what is it? Distribution. I'm sorry, I just blanked out right there. Distribution. This is the distribution part. So accumulation, you're basically chopping within a range. You're not sweeping anything out. Manipulation, we're sweeping out these lows, manipulating all of these stop losses that these big institutional traders have, and then distribution. It's a very, very simple thing, and it pops up very, very often. Let me show you the day before I took both of these trades. They were both A+ setup trades because, man, it was just beautiful. So let me delete this. Oh, fuck. I did not mean to do that. All right, so exact same thing we were just talking about. What are we talking about? Accumulation. We're basically chopping within a range. All right, New York opens. We sweep all of these lows. So sweep all of these lows from Asia session and London session. And then what do? We make a retracement. This looks like a 5-minute fair value gap to me. Beautiful entry. Boom. Entry right at the fair value gap. Stops below the fair value gap. Take it up to these highs, London session highs, or you could even continue higher, try and find higher time frame fair value gaps or whatever it is. That's it. It's a very, very simple thing. Now, let me try to find you guys a bearish example. Okay, so we just found 2 bullish ones. Let me try to find you guys a bearish example. So, all right, so here's kind of a decent example. So it's not the best, but this is a somewhat good example. So I ended up taking this trade. Very, very low volume, as you can see during London session. We basically chop around for the whole day. But what do we see is the sweep of London session and Asia session high. So exactly what we were talking about. This is the manipulation leg. We got this 5-minute fair value gap right here. We retrace back into. We kind of chop around, honestly. This kind of depends on what kind of a trader you are. For example, if you have your take profits literally like right here, then you would have made money. But you probably would have just got chopped out for a while. So, like, for example, if you took these shorts right here, let's just say your full TP hit, like, right here, if you targeted this low, you'd be waiting quite some time, so about 2 hours and 15 minutes. So if you're okay with that, that's not a bad example of it either. Let's see, this is another kind of a good example. We see that we have our Asia session and London session highs. What do we see is the fact that even though we didn't really make like a crazy sweep from London session, we could still see that we swept out so many of the highs that we created from London session, because really New York session opens at around 7 in the morning, so about an hour and a half before market actually opens. So we could see, 7 a.m. we could see that we have New York session open right at 7 a.m. And we can see that we come up, sweep all of these highs that we have. So these highs from Asia session, these highs, these highs, these highs, and then we continue to the downside. Okay, so we have a retracement right here. Let's just say if you took shorts right here, stop loss above these highs, bang. All right, so that's a little bit more of a complicated trade because the sessions aren't as clear, but you don't even need this indicator to tell you where each session is. But this is just a good tip. It's a helpful tool that you can use. So here's another example. So we made a very, very big move up on Asia session, but we made a pretty small move on London session. So my entire thing was that I don't think we're going to sweep out Asia session, but I am pretty convinced that we're going to take out London session. So what do? Is since we made such a big move up during Asia session, I'm convinced that we're just going to follow the trend and continue higher. Okay, so sure enough, we swept out London session lows, so we could see that these are London session lows right here. Swept them out. And now what do? Is we try to find some sort of an entry. Okay, so let's look at the 5-minute time frame. All right, so what do we see? We got a fair value gap right here. We got an order block. Bang. I just continue higher, taking out the rest of these highs, and that's it. That's all you need for the day. It's a very, very simple strategy. So let me try to find you guys another example. Let me try to find you guys a bearish example. Okay, beautiful. It's another good, really good example. So we see Asia session chopped around, London session came open, and we basically made a pretty big move higher. So what I wanted to see was London session to get swept out. And what do we see? New York session open, and we swept out all of the liquidity from London session, and we created an SMT. So I remember this day because we did not sweep out the highs from NQ, but we did sweep out highs on ES. So that created an SMT. That to me is an extra form of confirmation for me to continue lower. Damn, today's lighting's horrible. Sorry about that, guys. But what do we see? Boom. Let's find a nice entry point. If I can find where the chart was. Nice. Oh my gosh, this shit is lagging. Where were you looking at? Alright, so let's try to find an entry point. Okay, so it looks like this looks like a 2-minute fair value gap right here. I just lost it again. I hate TradingView for this exact reason. It just like, as soon as you try to change the time frame, it just disappears. Alright, here's a good example. This looks like probably a 3 to 5 minute fair value gap, retracement back into it, boom, straight to the downside, targeting whatever lows you want to target. Very, very simple. Let's try to find another example. Oh my gosh, what is going on? What just happened to my charts? Holy shit. Sorry about this, guys. I don't know what is going on with this. Alright, so in today's example, you could see that it does not work out all the time. So Asia session pretty much dumped. We chopped around during London session, and I had 2 biases going into today. Okay, so I ended up taking a loss on this because I just didn't have the right bias for the day. So I had 2 biases going today. So it's either that we sweep out London session highs, or London session lows, I'm sorry. So these lows all the way here for us to make a fair value gap and then continue higher, targeting, you know, London session highs and Asia session highs. But unfortunately, we didn't end up doing that. So we ended up filling a 15-minute fair value gap. And you can see, fill this 15-minute fair value gap. Chopped around for a little bit. And you can see that we also have an order block that we respected as well. So we ended up just dumping to the downside. So this is just a good example that this does not happen every single day. This is just like a, you know, it's something that it looks good. But like here's an example for today. This is the loss I took because we made a move down. Okay, we swept out London session and Asia session low, so all the stop losses from the banks got stopped out. And my whole idea is that I'm going to try to ride along with all the big institutional banks and try to continue with them for them to continue higher. So we made a pretty nice fair value gap right here. All right, very, very clean. Retracement back into it. I was pretty convinced that we're going to continue higher. We also created another internal sweep right here, which if you take a look, if you know what standard deviation is, this is a pretty good example of standard deviation. So I was really targeting, you know, London session highs right here. I was very, very convinced that we're going to continue higher. But unfortunately, we ended up just being stopped out, and I was just done for the day. I did take a win for today as well, but I'm basically at break even on the day. So if we take a look, we have this that 15-minute that I was talking about, that 15-minute fair value gap. We can see, bang. And like I said, I wanted to target London session lows. So pre-market, I took this trade. I took a little trade right here. Okay, I don't know where that fair value gap just went, but it just disappeared. 15-minute fair value gap, retraced back into it. I wanted to target these lows right here, but unfortunately, we ended up just getting stopped out. I closed somewhere like right here, which I was completely fine with, but you could see that we came up, respected that 15-minute again, respected an order block, and we just dumped straight to the downside. So it is what it is. It's not, this is something, like I said, this is not something you're going to see play out every single day. Like you could see, here's another good example. We swept London session and Asia session lows. So I was pretty convinced, I'm pretty convinced right here that we might continue to the upside. We got a fair value gap right here. We retrace back into it. We have my confluences. We got, like I said, the London session and Asia session lows. Retrace to a fair value gap. I was going to target London session highs, but I ended up getting stopped out and continued lower and basically just chopping around for the day, for the rest of the day. This was also the day before bank holiday, so this is something I should not have traded whatsoever because as you can see, we just chopped around for the whole day. We made absolutely no move. All right, so that's basically all I have for you guys today. If you want to join my Discord, hit the subscribe button. Join the Discord because I'm doing a $100 giveaway once we hit 100 subscribers. So hopefully you guys are in there. Links in the description of this video. I'll see you guys within the next video. Peace out, boys.